Welcome to today's morning report on Thursday the 9th of July with me, Rich Perry, market analyst at Hantech Markets. Once again, second day in a row actually, the European trading session has got off to a fairly decent start actually. You've got a sort of a confluence of factors that have come together that have sort of improved sentiment. You've got Greece that is apparently ready to submit its proposal to the EU, to the Eurozone leaders. Also, Cyprus applying for a 3-year loan to the ESM, the European Stability Mechanism, as well. So that's sort of stabilised that sort of Greek situation temporarily, anyway. We also had a fairly dovish set of minutes from the FOMC overnight. Last night, the announcement that the committees seems to be fairly split. Actually, there's the term was apparently some of the committee members were sort of getting a little bit concerned that the Fed needed to start thinking about raising interest rates. And they were sort of fairly confident that economic indicators were pointing towards that being the right time coming soon. Others were a little bit less sure and a bit more cautious. Greece is a factor as well. So it was sort of fairly cautious, a lot of caveats through those minutes. So it seems to be that into September it's unlikely that we're going to see a rate hike now. And markets are basically sort of still suggesting sort of December, January time as potentially the sort of nearest rate hike potential. We've also had news that, for example, Christine Lagarde also said that Greece needs a restructure on its debt from Christine Lagarde of the IMF, and that obviously will help Greece in its negotiations as well. Furthermore, you had proposals or measures put in place by the Chinese government overnight to try and stabilise the equity market. Measures on holding equities for 6 months. To try and stabilise the downside pressure on those markets. And also, strangely enough, also the oil price has started to find a bit of support. So all these factors have come together to push markets a little bit higher at the open today. We've got FX markets, which are a little bit mixed actually, because you've got the euro, which is flying around a bit on news flow. The ECB's Jens Weidmann suggested that the euro system should not increase liquidity on for Greece, and also that the capital controls in place should not be removed until they come to an agreement. So the euro has flown around a little bit on the back of that news, but still there's a fairly solid move back higher on the sterling, on cable, and also on the yen. And interestingly enough, also the Aussie dollar is slightly higher as well after a decent set of employment numbers as well. There's not a great deal out today. You've got the Bank of England giving its monetary policy at 12 o'clock. No change expected there. And also we've got the weekly jobless claims for the states. 274 is the expectation there. That's at 1:30. Just very quickly, I'll show you the sovereign debt markets, sovereign yields in the Eurozone, slightly lower on the Spanish, slightly higher on the German. So therefore, that it just suggests that the risk of contagion or the risk sentiment has slightly improved, with the risk of contagion maybe slightly lower today. So my chart of the day is the Kiwi dollar today, and what we have got is this big downtrend channel on the Kiwi dollar. Been in that for about 3 months now, continuing to use this downtrend channel, both upside and downside, finding resistance at the trend lines. Interesting that you do tend to see sort of a couple of days, 3 days of rally before the selling pressure kicks in again. And what we have had yesterday is quite a sharp move to the upside, but is it the beginning of a rally? You would look at the momentum indicators and say, well, that's a cross back above 30 on the RSI. That's the stochastics also looking to arguably cross back into positive territory, or arguably giving a buy signal. I don't think they're buy signals. I think that the fact that they've been bumping along the bottom and giving sort of giving these signals previously anyway, I wouldn't class those as buy signals yet. I think there's a lot more that needs to be seen, and I think in this sort of scenario you want to see the RSI back above that reaction high there, for example at 45, before you get interested. I think you need to see the stochastics above that reaction high there in early June as well. So I think that there's a lot more needs to be done. Also, you look at the 21-day moving average, which now flanks this downtrend channel as well. That comes in at 68.40. That's still quite a long way above, sort of over 100 ticks of higher. So you could see a near-term bounce in this Kiwi dollar quite easily. But I don't necessarily think it's going to be a sustainable move yet. This is the hourly chart. We've had this, that was the move yesterday. It's broken above the initial resistance that came in around that 67.30 mark, but you look at this resistance that then comes in place at 68.10, which was the reaction high on the 1st of July. And I think that is certainly a big near-term resistance, being a bit of an old floor and new resistance as well. So that is a level that you'd need to see the Kiwi move above. So certainly there is scope for further rebound in this move. I mean, that would be 80 or so ticks higher from here. So there is room for a rebound near-term, and I stress that near-term. But I would also stress that we are still very much so within this downtrend channel, and this recovery that we've seen yesterday, which took us through quite sort of 3 days worth of trading actually. I still don't think it's too much of a significant move yet to get bullish on. You're still in this big downtrend channel, so I would continue to play that and use near-term bounces as a chance to sell. But you could still also play that on the very, very near-term basis as a long trade. But certainly at the moment, the indicators are improving near-term. But I would say that just be careful, because the downtrend channel is still massively intact on this Kiwi dollar. So I wish you good luck in your trading, and I'll speak to you again later.